conveyancer and a partner at our STBB Cape Town branch, and is an absolute honor to speak to all of you today. We'll wait about 2 minutes just for everybody to be admitted into the session, and then we'll start off with the webinar. How today's flow will go is I'll just give a brief rundown of our deeds registry festive season notice that they sent through to us yesterday, specifically for Cape Town, and we are still waiting on the other regions. And then just what you need to be aware of throughout the festive season, when you are concluding deals, when you are transacting. But we'll give it another minute. And I've got Nicholas Harvey, one of our senior associates from Cape Town, with me today as well. So Nick will run us through our Q&A. If anyone does have any questions, pop it on the chat or send through to Nick, and then he'll assist us towards the end of the webinar. But please, it's an open forum. Ask questions. We're all here to learn from each other. And then it probably goes without saying, but until we do start the Q&As, please be sure that your microphones are on mute. I'm sure it will be automatically muted, but if you are joining, please keep your microphone on mute until the end. And if you've got questions, you can raise your virtual hand, or physical if your video is on. We'll try and keep an eye out for somebody waving. All right. I will be sharing my screen as well, just so we all have something to work off of. And like I said, please pop questions through, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have. All right, so today we're going to have a chat about the property transfers and just managing expectations, not only yours, but your clients' expectations during the selling season in South Africa. So yesterday we received the deeds office working arrangements for the Western Cape, so the first one off the blocks. And we have sent, those of you who haven't received it, I hope you did, but we have received a newsflash notice to start planning ahead. So we all know December it's not a normal month. It's shorter, it's chaotic. Everyone's partially in holiday mode, but also hustling to get everything ready before businesses close up and people take a break, a well-deserved break for the year. And the deeds office also naturally will reduce their staff, so they'll work on a skeleton staff over the festive period. So it's the very first thing that we also tell our clients. If you want your transactions to go smooth, you need to work ahead of December. And we are already, I mean, I cannot believe it, but we're in middle November. So timelines are absolutely crucial, and how you structure your agreements of sale definitely as well. So the deeds office notice for the Western Cape basically stated to us that any documents or any deeds that you would require registered this year needs to be lodged in our deeds office by Wednesday, the 10th of December, in order to register before Friday, the 19th of December. So anything that is lodged after Wednesday, the 10th of December, would not have a guarantee of registering by the 19th of December. If you have lodged after let's say from the 11th, it may not register by Friday the 19th or in this year, 2025. If you have lodged any documents after Monday, the 15th of December, and the deeds come up on prep, and it came up on prep perhaps earlier than the conveyancer anticipated, the deeds office have advised us that they will not automatically reject deeds that have been in the deeds office for longer than 5 days on prep. They'll give us the opportunity to register until Friday, the 9th of January. So something unusual, and it's a first, but we do welcome it. The deeds office have notified us that they will not be closing over the festive break. bar the 25th and the 26th, and obviously the 1st of January, with the public holiday closures, the deeds office will operate per usual on a skeleton staff. They have not advised us what the arrangements are in respect of registrations throughout this time period. So given the guideline of registrations until Friday the 19th, we will await formal confirmation as to how we go about registrations from then onwards, and then after the 2nd of January as well. And when we have finer detail, of course, we'll share it. And then obviously from the other regions as well, once we receive those dates and timelines, we'll send it through to all of our clients across the various regions. All right, so there we go. I've just basically said that. The other deeds offices might work the same as Cape Town, so they might be operating throughout the festive time, so after Christmas and just before New Year. But there are two scenarios. They could either close on the 23rd like they have historically done, and then reopen on the day after New Year. Alternatively, they could stay open on a skeleton staff like the Western Cape would do. But as soon as we know, we will let you know. So that being said, working on a realistic timeline and setting your client's expectation early. We all know that we normally work on a cash deal with about a 6 to 8 week lead time from when the agreement is accepted until registration takes place. And then for bonded transactions, we work on roughly 12 weeks, I'd say 3 months, 2 to 3 months. The reason with the bonded transaction having a slightly longer lead time is that the transaction really only kicks into play once that loan approval has been received and the bond attorney has received their instruction. The bond attorneys do need about a 4-week lead time to get their processing and their signatures in place. And like I've explained a little bit earlier, just with deeds office turnaround times, we will be also working with fewer examiners, shortened working hours. They also have a Christmas party, which we obviously do encourage, and we are there to assist them as much. But when you are working with your timelines and you are setting your transfer dates on your agreements of sale, do just take this into account, and also your public holidays. Take that into account. So the 16th of December, for example, is a public holiday. There won't be any registrations on the 16th of December. If you are currently busy with a transaction or busy closing a deal and it's a cash deal, we'd like to say from the 15th of November onwards, we're looking at registration perhaps for next year. But if we have received your instruction before the 15th of November, there is a high possibility for a cash transaction that we could still get it into the deeds office and registered in 2025. For bonded transactions, they may register if we have already received them, but anything after the 15th of November, you're looking at a 2026 registration. All right. Then some more considerations. So when you are working with suspensive conditions in your agreement of sale, December and especially the festive season eats up our workable days. So if we are counting on a 21-day turnaround time for a suspensive condition to be fulfilled or a 30-day turnaround time, please bear in mind that a lot of the business do also have closures. So this includes your banks, your originators. If you have a suspensive condition for loan approval to be fulfilled within a certain period of time, pre-plan and make provision for extensions in your agreement of sale to avoid your agreements lapsing. So if your due date falls perhaps between the 25th and the 2nd, build in an automatic extension or have an agreement with your clients that you will extend your due dates. Same goes for subject to sales. I mean, you never know, you could get high sales over that time, but build in a provision to give an extension, which is also fair to your clients and won't place unnecessary pressure on a buyer who does need to meet a suspensive condition. We have a template addendum on our STBB Direct app. So if you do find yourself on holiday or stuck or your conveyancer is unable to get back to you within a few minutes, please go have a look on our app. All of our templates are there for you and they have been specifically curated for you to assist you at the click of a finger. So have a look. All our templates are available. in Word format when you download it, so you can insert your particular details to your transaction. And again, contact your conveyancer if you need help with any extensions or you need to stipulate the specific agreements in a transaction. Okay, jumping back, public holidays. Like I said, please take into account the public holidays. There will be no registrations on the 16th of December, and try and avoid any due dates within that time period. Just to make sure you don't fall short of your contract, and also for your clients to say they've been ill-advised as to what they could expect in a transaction. Occupation dates and occupational rental. So we want a happy client. Obviously, the clients are anticipating their moves, they're booking their movers. It causes a lot of conflict over December, especially taking occupation and occupational rent, or if a due date hasn't been met for transfer, but our buyers wish to have their new home before the festive season starts. So we highly encourage that, particularly this time of year, you do stipulate the occupation date if it will not be on transfer, and also the occupational rental, because this is not something you want to start negotiating with your clients the day before they are required to move in. I think it gives everybody great peace of mind to know exactly what was agreed on at the beginning of the transaction, with the occupation date, the occupational rental amount, handovers. I think it makes our agent clients' jobs easier as well, because they know what expectations there are and where they need to be when in respect of key handovers, etc. So I just think a clear occupational clause and an occupational rental clause, specifically also pointing out who will be responsible for electricity and water during that time, would avoid a lot of emotional phone calls the day before Christmas. So bear that in mind when you are busy closing your agreements of sale now, and also advise your clients correctly. Compliance certificates and levy clearance certificates. So we have found in the past that we often get stuck where we actually are in the deeds office and we're ready to register by the 15th, 19th of December, but we are waiting on compliance certificates. We are waiting on levy clearance certificates from our homeowners association. We do receive notifications from all of the major compliance companies and the homeowners associations beforehand. So from a conveyancing perspective, we are well aware of which of the companies won't be available during that time. They've taken their well-deserved break as well. Most of our compliance companies take off from about the 12th of December, so we know we won't get issued compliance certificates after that date. Same applies to our homeowners associations. Around about the same date, their staff will also go on leave for the December break. So our advice to you is to encourage your sellers beforehand, if you have now already, or you're busy with the transaction, to get your electrical, your plumbing, your beetle, your gas, your electric fence, get them before the end of November. Even if your transaction is only scheduled for the first week in January, have that sorted out right now. And I'm sure the compliance companies are in full force. So if you want to give your compliance company a call to get your certificates sorted. And levy clearance certificates, that's on the conveyancer, but we try and liaise those levy clearance certificates in advance as well, to ensure that we get our consents and our clearances before we lodge at the deeds registry. Consents are physical documents that we need to lodge with our deeds at the deeds office when we proceed with the transaction. So we need those physicals delivered to our office or collected from the homeowners association as well. So we have made provision for that in our timeline to ensure that we don't fall short of not having our consents, or our consents lapsing, or our clearances lapsing throughout the festive time. The next discussion is our clients traveling. So of course, during this time of year, our clients will be all over the show in South Africa, going to their holiday houses, going abroad, but still transacting in the property industry, which we obviously highly encourage. To avoid any let down to avoid any disappointment and unnecessary cost. We also try and encourage that powers of attorneys are signed by our sellers before they travel, or by our buyers, specifically buyers who are registering mortgage bonds, to avoid them having to go to a South African embassy and having documents authenticated and duly apostilled abroad. Not only is this an expensive exercise, but it is found difficult for them to get appointments abroad, to get the documents back to South Africa. We require the physical documents, so they'll have to be couriered to our offices. So to avoid any delay, specifically through this time of year, and I'm talking November, December, January, February, if you know your client is going to be traveling, ask them if they've got a general power of attorney in favor of a friend or a family member or an agent in South Africa. Alternatively, if we can draft a special power of attorney appointing either the attorney attending to the transaction or a friend or family member to sign the documents on their behalf. These documents can also be furnished to you up front so that you've got a template general power of attorney to be completed. The formalities of a power of attorney, as I'm sure you know, are that it needs to be signed in wet ink and witnessed by two witnesses, and we require the original of that general power of attorney as well as a special power of attorney to be filed in our deeds office lodgement cover. So we do require the original documents. If any documents were signed abroad, they will require the due authentication and apostille, which is what we are trying to avoid over the festive time, specifically that there isn't a delay in the transaction, because it can cause a delay down the line. All right. Okay, so that is our slideshow for today. I do want to mention just one or two more, I think, delays that could pop up that I want you to be aware of, and we 100% believe in transparency, to let you know. So the first delay that we found, and not specifically this time of year, but it could cause a slight delay in a transaction, is the issuing of our rates clearance certificates. Sometimes the city would need actual readings before they can issue a certificate. If there's faulty water or electricity meters, they'll have to go out and do inspections on the property. So we do apply for our clearances well in advance, but this could cause a delay if there is any form of a maintenance on the water or the electric meters on the property that the city would have to go do inspections for. Building plans over the property. If it is a condition in your sale and your buyer requires the approved building plans before transfer takes place, please make sure you've asked your conveyancer to assist you in applying for a copy of the approved plans in advance. The turnaround to obtain the approved plans is roughly 3 to 4 weeks, so we don't want it to cause a delay in a transaction, specifically if it's a suspensive condition. So if you know your client requires plans, reach out to your conveyancer and we can assist to obtain the approved building plans. Other conditions, such as subject to subdivision approval, will require the Surveyor General approved plans. The Surveyor General office closures usually follows the deeds office closures, so we anticipate that we'll have the same turnaround with the Surveyor General. But if you do need to get your approved subdivision plans, your sectional title plans, plans of consolidation, then we just need to make sure that we've got our timelines in place with the Surveyor General to get those approved plans, and that submissions by your architect or your land surveyor have been done timeously in order to lodge those documents at the deeds registry. Another common delay is loss of title deeds. So I'm sure everybody is very well aware that if our sellers have misplaced or lost their title deed, that we have to apply for a lost copy at the deeds registry, which is followed by a 2-week notice period after a publication is made in the Government Gazette in a local newspaper. So that itself was already adding about 3 weeks onto our turnaround. So when you are meeting your clients initially and it is not subject to a bond and the bank isn't holding the securities, ask your clients if they've got their original title deed. And if not, we can immediately apply for what we call a VA copy, verlore akte, we can apply for that at the deeds registry. If it's an old deed, it takes some time to get that copy from the deeds office before we can apply for the advertisement. So working with those requirements in advance, we have a beautiful checklist that we can share with you, so you know exactly what you need to have in place this time of the year in order to ensure that you are assisting your clients as well. But basically, yeah, those are sort of common, the ones that occur the most. But to sum it up, December is an incredible time of year, but it's also terrible for last minute admin. So I think if we jump the gun a little bit, we comply with our requirements early, we prepare early, a transfer will run smoothly. If we leave everything to too late in December, then it's going to catch up on us, and it does every time. So I urge all of you, and with the assistance of our staff and our paralegals and our professionals, we are here to assist you. So if we all work together, it should be a beautiful ending to the year. But okay, over to Q&As. Nick, do you want to go through some of our Q&As we've received?
Sure, we've got one question in the chat so far. So guys, please feel free to share any questions you might have. No question is too small or too big. We're happy to try and answer every question that you have. Liezl, the first question that you've got is, does the master's office close over December if we have a deceased estate transaction?
The master's office haven't released their closure dates, but they do usually close over the public holidays.
Okay. And then a question we got through on WhatsApp was, what would your advice be if an existing OTP or transaction states registration on 31 December or 1 January?
So my advice would be is please to enter into an addendum before the time, because we are not sure what the deeds registries are, what their intake will be for registrations over this time period. They have advised us, or at least the Western Cape has advised us, that they will be operating and open, but we aren't sure if there needs to be special arrangement made for registration. So if you do have an offer that is subject to transfer on the 31st of December, barring confirmation from the deeds office that could happen, my advice would be to enter into addendum and to say that perhaps occupation could take place if your buyer needs to move in on the 31st of December with an occupational rental in place, and your transfer to take place as soon as possible in the new year. Alternatively, transfer to take place prior to the 24th, and if your seller needs to stay in the property until the 31st of December to pay your buyer an occupational rental until that time.
Perfect, thank you. We've got an interesting question that just came through, which I think is going to be a little bit tricky to answer, but I'll give it to you. How do we get copies of management rules and EUA areas for sectional title schemes not yet registered with CSOS? The deeds office says they don't keep these anymore.
Okay.
I think there's two documents that are sort of being asked there. One is the management rules, and the other would be an exclusive use area on a sectional title scheme.
All right. So historically, the documents for when we opened up a sectional title register, we would lodge copies of the management rules, the conduct rules, the sectional plans depicting the exclusive use areas in the deeds office when we opened up the scheme, and we called it the SS file, would be filed at the deeds office. As most of you know, the deeds office has moved from Plain Street to just across STBB in the old APSA building. So it is relatively close, but the unboxing process has still happened. So they do have some files on record. If it's a new scheme, since 2017, the regulations insist that these documents are lodged with the community schemes ombud service, and the file would be on their record. So I can only assume that if CSOS don't have the documents yet, that your scheme hasn't been regularized as it is required to be in 2017, but then the documents would have to be filed at the deeds registry. And if not microfilmed, we can apply for them. So we can ask one of our deeds office clerks as well to assist. We'll just require the SS number or the scheme name, and we can see what documents the deeds office have. But it won't not exist, because it's impossible to open the scheme without them. But like I said, maybe perhaps CSOS don't have them because the scheme was never formalized after 2017 and submitted to CSOS.
Perfect, thank you. And then another question that came through via email was, how do I download the STBB Direct app to get access to these addendums that you spoke of?
You can go on our website. So on our website, there is I think it's actually quite highlighted, STBB Direct, and you can use it as a desktop as well. But if you'd like to download the app on your Android or Apple, it will give you the link in your iStore. But you can also just go on your I mean, I'm calling it an iStore. I don't know what other Samsung has.
App Store.
App Store, and you just type in STBB Direct. You'll receive a link on your email that you've inserted on your download, and then the link will give you a one-time PIN that you insert on the app. And if you do have transactions with STBB or you are an agent working with STBB, use the email address for your transactions, because it will automatically load any transaction you have with us and connect it to that email onto your app, so you can beautifully see your transactions set out, which furnish you with your progress reports. It's live updates as your transaction evolves. The app is updated.
Perfect. We don't have any other questions. I'm just going to quickly do a double check of the chat, guys. Anything else that you would like to have asked and answered? We have one or two coming through. Okay, let's see. If dealing with an OTP sectional title scheme, we have levy amounts but no rates bill received yet. Owners moved in months ago. How long does it take? So I think that's with the switch over from an old owner to a new owner with a new rate.
Yes. It usually takes, and I'm speaking City of Cape Town, that's where I'm based, but it usually takes about 6 weeks from when registration has taken place to your purchaser receiving their rates clearance, their municipal bill. And this is why we do have a rates clearance certificate to make provision for that time period and the transition between the two owners. So in practice, how it happens is the conveyancer notifies the deeds office of the new owner details and their recommended or their requested delivery information. So be it email or address as to where they would like to receive their rates bill. Then once we've lodged the documents at the deeds office and it's registered, the deeds registry notifies the City of Cape Town that the change of ownership has been effected. Then at that point, the City of Cape Town will close the previous account, and this is why our sellers get a credit, which is paid back to the seller for any payments in advance, and our new rates bill for the buyer is open. So you can only imagine, through all of those communications and the administrative process that takes place, there is a slight delay in your buyer receiving their first rates bill, but it's roughly about 6 weeks. If they are having an issue, contact the conveyancer who attended to the transfer, because they can attend or request the City of Cape Town to give an update on when your client can receive their rates bill. And of course, that rates becomes applicable from the date they are the owner. So they may be in arrears that reflects on their rates certificate from the date of ownership up to date of receipt of the account.
Perfect. We've got a very interesting question which has to do with, I'm about to market a property where the braai room is not on the approved plan. The architect is in the process of applying for a copy of the plan from council, but there are some illegal additions. Chimney on the boundary wall, no fire door into garage, prep bowl not draining into sewer, etc. So the architect is not 100% sure plans will be approved quickly and occupancy certificate.
Okay, so you're about to list it, so it's definitely not a suspensive condition or a condition of sale. So in practice, how we try firstly, you do require the approved building plan as the as-built plans approved by the municipality in order to register a property. It is not always stipulated in the agreement of sale, but it is definitely a material defect if they are not approved, unless the clients have agreed otherwise. So unless you have a buyer who confirms that they'll take the property without the municipal approved plans, our suggestion always is to have your owner draw the plans and submit it. There is a slight chance, obviously, in this instance, that they would require a demolition of illegal builds or an installation of a fire door. And in that instance, obviously, the seller would incur costs to attend to these demolitions and installations. So definitely, I would say disclosure in your PPRA disclosure form, there is a confirmation or a little tick box where your seller confirms that they have or have not attended to any structural changes in the property, and that being said, amended building plans being applied for and approved. So the responsibility is 100% on the owner to ensure that those plans are accurate and in order. And if not, and if there is demolition required, they will have to attend to it again, unless a buyer has agreed otherwise with your seller.
Okay, last question, I think, just to make sure we don't go too far over time. Just one question is, where would somebody be able to get a copy of a GPA? As far as I can remember, it isn't on the app, and there is quite some strict sort of requirements when signing that document. So if you want to email us, Liezl's email address, I think, is liezls@stbb.co.za, and then mine is Nicholas, that's NICHOLASHA @stbb.co.za. I'm going to pop it in the chat, so you're more than welcome to email both of us and we can help you with that GPA. Right, thank you, everybody. I think that's it. We've got no more questions, Liezl.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Like I said, it's an absolute honor to wrap up the year with all of you, and I do wish you all of the best. I know it is an extremely taxing time of year, but it is also so exciting, and I think we all work towards the finality of the beautiful property industry we all work in. So, like I said, we are available. Email us, phone us. If you've got questions, if you get stuck, we are here to assist you. Both Nick and I are locking the doors on Christmas Eve here at STBB. So please, please, please reach out if you ever need any assistance. And thank you so much for joining today.